more powerful version of the fighter sword. So if you start with hammer, like, you're pretty set for, you know, getting through, taking out enemies and taking on bosses. But we are off, and why does Mikan's bunny look so angry in bed? He's like so mad to be rudely awakened. And we got the 8-bit Link over on Husky's side, who looks pretty indifferent. That facial expression.
Yeah, a face only an uncle could love.
Exactly. Nice difference of sprites that we're going to be getting to watch for the next hour and some odd minutes.
Yeah, definitely one of the more unconventional sprites, as they do change up the overall silhouette of the sprite, as we do get the bow from the uncle, which I believe is the fastest weapon to attain.
Lamp right off the bat, so that's vanilla-ish. If you skip getting the lamp, in Link's house, that's the second place that it'll spawn, and then the third place being Zelda's cell. If you skip that chest too.
Yes, that is correct. And if you do pick up all three, the leftover lamp locations will turn into 5 rupees, I believe.
Oh, nice little big 20. So both players with bow in hand are going to have a much easier time getting through escape, but of course they're both going to be trying to farm that beautiful bomb drop, and there is one for Mikan already, right off the bat.
Yes, with that bomb, our runners will have access to the back of escape, which does hold 3 items, or 3 chests rather. So it'll be interesting to see if Husky will also get a lucky bomb drop. Now, looking as we are only like about 2 minutes into the escape sequence, I do think that the prize pack will be having a bomb for Husky.
The first few items get both the bow and lamp right off the bat. Like, you almost think to just and a moon pearl. Wow. Okay, this is a very stacked opening sequence. Especially with lamp, I mean, that puts, regardless of pendant or crystal, that puts Eastern Palace right into play as soon as they get out of here. Of course, most players would probably ideally like to have at least a sword before going in there. Not that it's needed, but it's nice to have.
Yeah, a lot of things in the game are very nice to have, as Mikan...
Go back and get that, Mikan, you crazy. It's gonna despawn.
I believe it's already gone. I didn't think he even noticed it.
Oh, okay, we're fine.
It is fine, we found some bombs in Zelda's chest.
I wonder, yeah, of all the enemy drops to skip, the 8 bomb drop is not one you want to pass up on, but fortunately both players will be getting bailed out regardless with the 3 bombs in Zelda's cell. Oh, and there is a bomb drop as well for Husky right there.
Husky is going to opt to save his ammunition and use the 2 pots on the ball and chain guard. As we see both of our runners escorting Zelda towards the sanctuary. We'll be running through the sewers, as well as, of course, that final room with the 3 chests.
One of the trends that I'm noticing with this version, especially in this game mode, is that a lot of times in Escape, you're not going to find just one like attack weapon of sorts. You'll get the uncle one, and then, I don't know, for whatever reason, you still end up finding like a bow or a hammer or a sword or the fire rod. I guess in this sense, bombs kind of count, maybe? I don't know. But even if you were to run out of arrows, you, of course, could still finish up things with the bomb. And
that is true, although the bomb technique is, of course, a little tricky, as she has to wait for the fuse. But luckily, though, if our runners did end up running out of either arrows or magic, depending on what item the uncle gives, performing a saving quid will refill those resources. Meanwhile, only a big 20 in the sewer chest.
So I don't think we've seen the dungeon map yet, so that will be one of the items in the back of Escape, or it's going to be in the Sanctuary chest, so at least 3 more items left to find, where we could find like a sword or the boots or maybe the gloves. A little bit more potential progression before we get out of Escape.
Very true. Of course, we already have part 1 to the Dark World puzzle with the Moon Pearl. And by the looks of things, only a little bit of love, as well as the burritos. So there will be an item in the Sanctuary chest as well.
Now, given the items that they've gotten so far, both bow and lamp, I feel like both players are still going to just go straight to Kakariko, because they're going to, there's so many more items to get over there, so making the play straight to Eastern seems kind of, I don't know, inefficient maybe? It's a hard call.
Ooh, as we find Ether in the Sanctuary, and as you said, I do believe that that both of these runners will opt for the quote-unquote standard route as we get a quick map check here. I believe that was Bluepen and Hera, Chrysalit, Desert, but I didn't see Eastern.
At Eastern Desert were just normal crystals, and I believe there's the blue pendant at Tower of Hera. So not bad. 2 pendant Dark World dungeons, which is both good and bad, I guess. It's always tough when you get like a pendant pot or something. And I believe Mikan might have forgotten that he had his bombs out. He was probably going to try and hit him with that bird with an arrow, but dropped a little bomb on the ground first.
Definitely no big deal, as we find a big piece of love in the Lost Woods. Husky clearing the escape sequence will be following in Mikan's footsteps.
The only thing I could see troublesome about this 8-bit Link sprite is not only is it much shorter than the normal sprites, or like the normal Link sprite, but it's also very low to the shadow. And I don't know about you, but I use the shadow for a lot of bomb jumps and lineups and stuff. So I feel like this would cause me to struggle a little bit in like Ice Palace or Palace of Darkness or some of the other bomb jumps like in Skullwoods.
Yes, very true. Now, of course, it will be quite a while before we will see any bomb jumps, but that may play a role for Husky, as Mikan is making his way into the Kakariko. We'll be checking out Blindside 5 items, usually a pretty lucrative area, as we so far only find money
and hearts. But money's pretty lucrative. Yo, that rupee count, by the way, 425, 430. You want to try and have as much money as you can leaving Kakariko, so you can not only check the bottle vendor, but later go and check Zora's domain. And especially with the Moon Pearl in hand, we could easily see some fake flipper, maybe some water walking shenanigans from either of these players later on.
That would definitely be interesting to see if runners are okay with sequence breaking, because we are using the no glitches logic, and so no glitches or exploits are required to finish this seed, as we get a bottle as well as our first sword in the well-emptied cave.
That's no.
That is
Cape, sword, lamp, Moon Pearl. Would that lead you into any sort of particular direction, maybe?
Ooh.
And a fire rod, too. That's nice.
That would make the tower ascend a bit easier. Now,
so at this point, Mikan already has Dark World access if he decides to go through Castle Tower. But of course, he's going to be checking everything else under the sun in the Light World to make sure he doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, so there's quite a significant time loss at, I believe, 7 minutes just to get through the tower. No items will be found in the tower either, as the only 2 chests contain the 2 required keys.
Now, despite getting those items, I still would be anticipating... I wouldn't immediately jump to Aga, because let's say he does get to the Dark World via Aga Tower, Where does he go? What can he do? He can go to pod and check. He can check pyramid and go to pod. That's it. That doesn't sound very lucrative.
No, there are definitely better places. Better places to go. Of course, we still have a lot of overworld. Ooh, as we find the flute on the library.
Yikes.
Our runners will be hoping for the boots soon.
Well, you never know. That mystery mire could be a pendant, which would then make potentially the flute not even necessary.
Oh, very true as well.
I'll have to wait and see about that one. Yeah, for me, I wouldn't be even considering Aga Tower until I see at least hookshot and glove or flippers. Because then you can make that trip up and hookshot across the broken bridge to get to West Dark World. So, and we still have plenty of stuff to do. And Mikan deciding to go do East Palace section as opposed to the normal South Shore, Dam, Mini Moldorm Cave, Ice Rock Cave, all that stuff. He is basing his decision on the items that he has currently.
Definitely, it will be interesting to see if Husky chooses to go the of course a bit more standard route, or if he will also decide to dip into Eastern. Sahasrara is holding not much of value for us. See if we get the green pen location. Unfortunately not. But with that, Mikan will make his way into the Eastern Palace.
I also wonder if Mikan's going to go ahead and grab the rupees in Eastern Palace, assuming that the other items in Eastern aren't rupees, just so we'd have 500 rupees for Zora later.
Yeah, this seed has been pretty generous in terms of the money situation.
Just imagine if you had done Houlihan, you would have had enough. But who does Houlihan? Nobody does it. Houlihan's dead.
Pretty much, yeah.
I gotta say, a bit of an interesting route from Husky going from Maze Race and walking all the way down here, as opposed to, I believe it would be faster just to go ahead and save and quit, start at Link's house, and then go south. Maybe if you had the boots, wouldn't make a difference. Boots and glove, but yeah. Gonna go ahead and check the dam, and the first chest in Eastern Palace is the dungeon map. More to be revealed.
Husky, meanwhile, checking out the dam. We'll be checking what our soggy item of the day is.
Come on, Soggy Book. Soggy Rupee. Soggy Book is the best one. Debatably. Because then, if you get the book there, then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, Mini Moldorm or Desert? Mini Moldorm or Desert? Which one do I do?
Honestly, if I were in that position, the Mini Moldorm does seem a little bit more attractive, as it is 5 items, as well as you're a lot closer to locations such as the Outfit Cave and a potential fake flip.
Yeah. Also, if I had glove, I would consider Desert, because then you'd be able to get through it with, assuming it's not boots locked. But that is not going to be the case regardless today. Now we're just hypothesizing on things that aren't happening. We're talking about a different race that's going on somewhere else. 50 rupees, a heart piece, another bottle,
A beat orb,
the Master Sword, and
the
the mirror.
Woo. Oh, well, that is quite a nice assortment of items. Now, unfortunately, that does not immediately unlock anything for Husky, but it does look like he is opting to continue on.
I love the I guess lack of sword animation with the 8-bit Link. I'm assuming reminiscent of the the actual 8-bit Link. It's perfect. The sword just kind of appears. It just emerges. But yeah, Master Sword's nice. Here's the thing. Right now, Master Sword and Mirror don't really give us any sort of like progression. Doesn't lead us anywhere. Now, if Husky was to find Glove, then all of a sudden you're thinking Tower of Hera. Yeah, it's a pendant, but there's a few items you can get along the way up Death Mountain.
That is true. As we find powder in the Outward Cave, Husky opting to save and quit, not going to Not going to show us the fake flippers for now. It does look like he will be in the eastern area shortly, as Mikan is making his way first to pick up some rupees. Of course, we still have to get that Zora money, which does require 500 rupees to get the item.
And unfortunately for Mikan, he will have more than enough once he visits Mini Moldering Cave and finds that 50 rupe. But it looks like Huskie's not going to be too far behind following suit going into Eastern Palace. Armos Knight's holding an item. Curious to see if it's going to be any sort of progression. If Armos Knight's is holding the glove, that would be pretty fun. It'd be pretty good. Or maybe the boots. Boots to get the flute to go up Death Mountain.
Oh, that could very well be the path the logic wants you to take. So this is a valid way to get onto Death Mountain. Of course, a glove would also give them access to the mountain, as we did find that lamp really early. As Mikan expertly gets his flippers.
All right.
Doesn't really unlock anything per se, but that does put all of the Zora area as well as the Waterfall Fairy Cave in normal logic.
Not what I was expecting, but still pretty good. Yeah, also pretty decent fight from Mikan. Was going for the normal NMG quick kill setup, and I don't know how that one got away from him, but pretty good fight. And just pretty good Eastern Palace overall. And now he'll be heading down to go follow suit, but we'll probably... Well, I wonder, with flippers now, he could just go straight from Mini Moldering Cave to Hobo, all that stuff, and skip Ice Rock Cave. I don't know if he's the type to skip Ice Rock Cave. I know a lot of players do try and put it off until they get like the flute, or until they need to, so...
Yeah, the Ice Rock Cave is only one item, but then again, it is one item. And if it is the one that we need, because we did see from Husky's side that it is the powder, which in essence is a fetch quest, so it'll be interesting to see what that turns into.
Yeah, of all the things to miss in Ice Rock Cave, powder's not particularly significant. It really depends on your reliance on powder as a safety item, as well as whether or not Batcave is holding a progression item. But you never know. There is always that little fake powder glitch that we might see from our players later on, or at least from Mikan, if he finds that mushroom and that cane of Samaria.
Yes, of course, a very specific set of items required for quite an unusual anomaly, I'd say. Mikan will be receiving his Soda Raider, as well as having well more than enough for his Zora trip.
I think both of these players skipped Lumberjack check, if I recall correctly.
Yes, I don't believe we have seen.
Which is
seen that from either.
It's pretty common for players to put it off until they either have to do Aga or until they at least find the boots. Because of course, right now they wouldn't be able to get it until they found the boots, and they already see that flute is on the library, so they might already be considering that they're going to be having to get those flutes, those boots, not the flutes. Just one.
Boots and the flutes. Mikan instead does opt to get the Ice Rock Cave out of the way. Not a bad choice, as if you leave too many single item locations, eventually you're going to run out, and you're going to have to go to one of them.
Husky going ahead and clearing all the enemies out of this room, as opposed to using the damage boost strat that you see a lot. Another option could have been to use the cape to not take damage from the antivirus to lift up the pot. But gets to that room pretty quickly using the sword beams to their advantage.
Definitely the cape, again, a very helpful safety item. Not only for mitigating damage, but as well as skipping certain portions, such as having to kill all the enemies. Meanwhile, Mikan using the flips to check out the hobo. Only gets a dinky tiny shield for it though.
Now, we were talking earlier about skipping chest, like skipping Ice Rock Cave. And one of the things we gotta remember is, like, this is a competition. And these are players that have had all week to prepare for this race. And there's probably a good chance that both of them looked up their opponents, did some research. We see the mushroom on Lake Hylia Island, so that potential... Yeah, and with flippers and mirror, that mushroom is going to be accessible as soon as they get to the Dark World. Depending on depending on how they get to the Dark World. But anyway, there's a good chance that these players did their research on each other, and so maybe Mikan has seen the level of execution that Husky is capable of, and maybe doesn't feel the need to gamble as much. It's highly possible. I don't know how much research he's done. Like the other thing is, like, compared to like looking at like NMG times, where you can just look straight up at personal best and be like, oh, I have like a 5-minute PB over this guy, I'll be fine. With Rando, it's a lot different because you can't just look at times, because times don't often tell you something, because all the seeds are usually pretty different.
That is true. Everything is completely randomized, of course. There is a logic in place in order to make the seed at least finishable. As Husky finishes off the Almost Knights, gets his flippers, will probably be following the same path Mikan did for the Zora area.
And it looks like Mikan's on his way over to check Desert Ledge or Agahnim's Cave, or both. So far, the flipper's not actually leading into anything, so there's a good chance that maybe that mushroom is what they're looking for, or there's probably an even higher chance that Swamp Palace and or Ice Palace is a Crystal Dungeon, or at least has a progression item. Those flippers have to be useful or something, right? I'm still anticipating a hookshot, because with the flippers now, flippers plus hookshot equals access to West Death Mountain, or West Dark World.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the swimming animation is grabbed. That's incredible.
That's adorable. Mikan, only finding a big 20, does opt to forgo the Desert Ledge check. Of course, at the moment, we still don't have access to that location, so it is only knowledge that would have been gained. But at this moment, it does look like Mikan is going to climb the tower, as it is pretty much the only option.
Yep. A forced castle tower seed. I don't think Mikan... Yeah, Mikan has nothing left that he can check.
That is...
At this point, so... And Husky's not going to be too far behind after finishing up the Zora's Domain area.
Definitely not. We'll be seeing the mushroom on the Lake Hylia item.
Lake Hylia.
I'm not good with words.
Same thing, man. Same thing.
Meanwhile,
Fire Rod in hand. Gonna use that to clear these enemies a little bit quicker.
Yeah, Fire Rod being one of the more powerful weapons in the game, up there with the silver arrows.
At this point, I'm kind of anticipating the next item is either going to be hookshot or boots. One of those two. Maybe glove. Or maybe we'll get one of those rare power glove and mitts in Palace of Darkness. See those all the time.
Yeah, Palace of Darkness does tend to have at least one big item, at least from the seats that I've played and spectated. Ooh,
someone in
Getting
chat
into a little...
does bring up a pretty good point. At this point, if, let's say, we find the boots on the pyramid, do you just immediately bonk the tree and hop down, or do you check Lumberjack Cave anyway? Before you do. I would say just go for it. Just blind pull it.
Yeah,
Don't
at
even
that
worry
point...
about it.
At that point, that would be pretty much the hyper's choice, and I'm sure that chat would agree with that. As Mikan makes his way up the tower, Husky will be following closely behind as well. Of course, with that firearm in hand also.
I don't remember what their first bottle was, but I know as of right now, all they have is a bee in a bottle.
I believe it was a fairy.
Oh, okay. Well, then we're good. Mikan was looking a little scary down to 2 hearts. Sitting at 3 right now, but shouldn't have any problems. The thing is, though, depending on how many blue balls we get from Aga, depending on how you set up, like, those blue balls will do either a full heart of damage or half a heart. So you gotta be careful. Speaking of which, guys, get your guesses in chat. How many blue balls do you think we're gonna be seeing today?
6.
6.
It's gonna be my prediction.
Alright. In my 2 NMG runs, I had 2, and then... No, I had... What did I have? 3 and then 2. So I'm gonna go with 5. 14? 7? Walther, why? Why do you hate them so much? It's also worth pointing out that, much like the rest of the bosses in the game, the first attempt at every boss will always have the same RNG for both players. And that is what, we're at 2 now?
Yeah, we have only had the one guaranteed... Oh, there we go. Oh no, I believe that was also one of the guaranteed energy orbs.
I think the first one is always guaranteed. Maybe the first one after each lightning is always guaranteed. I don't remember. So far, only 2 though. Not too bad. Make that 3. Not too bad.
3
Make
is
it 4. Give me 4. Give me 4.
No, it's not going to be 4.
It is enough for 2 lightnings though. Give me 4, please. No!
And it is not to be. Mikan takes down Agahnim, will be transported onto the Pyramid of Power. We'll be getting the Pyramid item as well as most likely a dip into Palace of Darkness. And maybe even a map check.
Let's see what we got. It is a heart piece, so this will be a Palace of Darkness check. Wow.
It's straight vanilla as we get a map check. Special pendants at Ice and Skull Woods. Green pendant Turtle Rock. Ouch. And red pendant Thieves.
Yeah, so the Pyramid Fairy crystals are Ice and Swamp, and you know, you're just a couple gloves and a hammer away from being able to do both of those. I personally despise Pendant Thieves Town, but I kind of am okay with the Pendant T-Rock, because that usually means that there's going to be nothing on pedestal. At least that's the way I look at it. That's my optimism.
Yeah, which is also a very logical way of thinking, as you do need a lot of items to even get to Turtle Rock as well as beating it. Meanwhile, Mikan using his flip as a mirror to get the mushroom.
Oh wow, I did not even think of that option. Imagine if this actually leads to progression and Pod is just skip. Dude, what a madman! I didn't even think about that. I would have gone straight into Pod. And you know, because they could do a lot of things. But imagine if Mushroom actually leads to the hammer, and then you'd be able to full clear Pod and finish it.
Oh, that would definitely save a lot of time. It'll be interesting to see if the mushroom gamble is going to pay out for Mikan.
The funny thing is, even this mushroom won't be enough to get them Darkhold access, since they still are missing a single glove and the hammer. Just.
Oh. Your progression
Womp
lies
womp.
elsewhere.
Nice try, though. Nice try. He wanted to skip pod, but it ain't happening. So at this point, it's safe to say, unless we find Hammer in there, that this is going to be a forced double dip of Palace of Darkness. Over on Husky's side, down to half a heart. I hope that that bottle does contain a fairy, because this is getting a little dicey. Though it's particularly hard to take damage against Aga. The only time you can really do it is if you somehow miss one of the energy balls, or if you slash at a blue ball, and it splits apart and bonks you right in the noggin. All good. We're good.
Yes,
We're
that
good.
fairy will come to Husky's aid. As also a way to get damage is by hitting Agahnim himself. I've died countless times.
Oh, yeah.
to standing just a little bit too close, and a poke will immediately zap you as well.
Poke, a spin, a slash, you'll get a little jolt of lightning in you.
It does shake you awake though, especially if you're at half a heart and the fight's over then. Mikan, meanwhile, taking our favorite extortionist, Kiki the Monkey, to open up Palace of Darkness. Now, we do already have the bow, so we can pretty much clear
Everything in here except for Helma. Which, and it's even more convenient when you have the mirror going through here, because, being able to mirror out after dropping down, or we might even see a hammer jump from Mikan. I hope so, because the hammer jump is pretty great.
Definitely, I myself have yet to master it, but of course you are allowed to pull up any maps or schematics, for example, for pixel placements to set up bomb jumps. The only thing that our runners are not allowed is to communicate between each other or look at each other's streams. Now,
Curious what Husky's looking for right now. Running around, killing a couple enemies. I don't know if they're looking for sword beams, or they're miscounting how many rupees they need to get into Palace of Darkness.
No, it does look like it is going to be Palace of Darkness. Does have enough rupees to even lose Kiki twice. As Mikan is... Oh.
He's scaring us a little bit. Yeah, it's especially nice having the mirror here, because then he can mirror out, as opposed to, potentially taking a death warp, but forgetting that he has a fairy so that it revives him, and then he has to die again. And there is our first glove. That is actually a pretty popular place to put a glove, if I do say so myself.
Yeah,
now,
we did get pushed towards the Bolok side due to the presence of, I believe, 300 rupees.
I believe it was a 50 in the first chest, but rupees nonetheless. And yeah, it's just weird. Imagine if the game had not given them enough rupees in the overworld to do both Zora and get into Palace of Darkness and Bottle Vendor. Husky down to 26 rupees. This, could have been close when you had been like farming rupees in the overworld at some point. And there's really no convenient way to farm rupees without a glove, except for maybe in Kakariko Village, like Lion's Basement.
That is true, although that does take quite some time due to the amount of screen transitions.
Yeah.
So far, the glove has been the only form of any major item here. Now, of course, the glove does open a small number of places, including Death Mountain. Mikan does to open the key door instead of doing the hammer jump. Thankfully, though, having found the land early, this maze is pretty easy to get through.
Yeah, this kind of scenario, I can't imagine. Like, gloves being the only item, but gloves opening up so much. You know, you got access to Death Mountain. You can get up and do Tower of Hera. If you find a hammer up there, then you can go to East Death Mountain. Or if you find a hookshot up there, you can go to East Death Mountain. It's a tough call to just get the gloves and then bail. So I don't blame Mikan for wanting to check as much as possible in there. And at the same time, now he has the big key and however many other small keys, so that he can immediately go back and just take out Helma once he's done. Yeah, this will now be a trip up to Death Mountain. We have the old man to save. We have what's inside Spec Cave. We have what's on top of Spec Cave. And then the 2 items in Tower of Hera. And at this point, we're kind of running out of options. So it kind of has to be something. And it's like Mikan, without boots, is going to go ahead and check what's at Lumberjack Cave. So he knows whether or not he needs to come back here later and check it. Just a big 20. Oh, and someone in chat makes a valid point. That glove also unlocks Catfish for our players. And that would just be absolutely rude of this game to do that to you. But at the same time, I could easily see players going up, full clearing Pendant Tower of Hera, find absolutely nothing, just to go to Catfish and get a hammer or hookshot. So at that point, if you find hookshot, let's say we can find hookshot at Catfish, do you go back up to Death Mountain and do East Death Mountain? Or do you immediately hookshot across and go to West Dark World? I would assume West Dark World. Yeah, I would do West Dark World. Oh, and the Titan mitts from the old man. Well, that just opened the seed wide right on up.
That's a very interesting.
So Titan mitts in hand. Mikan can now do quite a bit. He can get to West Dark World. He can... Is this... Oh gosh, is this going to be a hammer? This could easily be a hammer in Ice Palace. I'm almost anticipating a hammer in Ice Palace.
Ouch, that is true. You can pretty much clear all of Ice Palace with the exception of Cold Stare.
I believe the hammer would block off at least 2 of the chests in the dungeon, as well as the one from Cold Stare. But always a good chance that you're going to find something in there, right?
I mean, it's ice. Everybody loves ice.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I'm still waiting for a Go Mode hammer seed. I want to see one of those. It's been so long.
That would definitely be very interesting. Now, of course, the hammer is, I believe, the single item with the most dependencies in the game. As in, it is required to reach pretty much the largest amount of unique locations. Meanwhile,
there's a hammer. Never mind.
There it is.
Oh, and a very nice setup here from Mikan to get the bomb jump without boots. It's pretty dangerous to try and set up without the boots because you can easily fall in the hole, but the use of doing a spin right up against the edge will actually give you a nice lineup so you don't fall in and sets you up perfectly for the bomb jump. Still scary to do, but a little less scary.
Indeed, being anyone near a pit is always dangerous, and hey, if you like pits, you're gonna love this boss. You have Trillium coming up. Looks like Mikan is going to use Hammer Strats, as it is quite significantly faster than the Master Sword. Whoop.
Alright, I think it's time to make a rule. I think Unless you take a fall to him, he's just Moldorm. If you take a fall, then he's Trolldorm. Otherwise, he's just Moldorm. Does that seem fair? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think we can make that happen.
Okay, good. Thank you. I think it's fair. I think it's a good idea. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a think dorm. Just throwing that one out. Also, shouts to chat. Feed me all these lines. Yeah, with Hammer in hand, Hammer and Mitts, Mikan can head over to East Death Mountain. We'll be able to check Paradox Cave, Spiral Cave, as well as Super Bunny Cave. But nothing in Hookshot Cave, since he does not have the hookshot, nor does he have the boots to bonk across. And with Mirror in hand, he can actually go ahead and check what a medallion is required for a Pendant T-Rock. Just so he doesn't have to come and check later.
Definitely, information is a very powerful tool, as we do have the medallion. Mikan will opt to prematurely open Tail Rock. Unfortunately, he can't do anything because we have yet to find the cane, as Husky gets Dead Rock blocked. Unfortunately, with the old man, we'll be getting his Silence Smith shortly, though, as Mikan is going to explore the Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, it's been an interesting run so far, just because Mikan has been slowly getting ahead over and over, just based on pure execution. But the fact that both players pretty much full cleared the game leading up to Palace of Darkness means, there's still room for chance for different routing to play a part in how the rest of this seat goes. And, Husky could bail on Moldor and just grab the hammer and go. But I believe Moldorm held the second item, which was a blue rupee. So that'd be a pretty big risk to take.
Definitely, as well as on the off chance that there is something on the pedestal, getting that pennant sooner rather than later might prove very valuable. Although, at this point, pretty much maybe boots could be on the pedestal if they are required for Desert Palace, and they're of course required to in order to get the flute, as they are on the library. Only a big 20 in the Spiral Cave, as Husky is making his way upstairs towards Moldorm. Meanwhile, Paradox Cave check from Mika, 7 items, very high item density, as we find another Beat Orb.
Be curious to see what Mikan does here. If he's gonna save and quit and go on to Dark World, whatever, or if he's gonna go ahead and do Spike Cave, since that's available to him. Oh, I was.
Now
I want him to go into T-Rock right now. It's a pendant. You don't need to beat it, but you can full clear it, minus Trinex. And I was about to say, look, he has Ether Medallion. He can open it up. If he finds Key of Samaria in Death Mountain, I'm curious to see if he's going to hop right in.
Yes, definitely a little scary with having only Green Mill, but Mikan did find a healthy supply of hearts.
Is he doing it? He's doing it! Alright, cool.
He's going in there, that is.
Now, normally I'd be excited about early T-Rock, but we're 44 minutes into the run, and you just got access to East Death Mountain and all this stuff, so it's a very good chance we might find at least something in here. Maybe the boots.
Yeah, at this point, there pretty much has to be something, as we indeed, on our first trip up the mountain, I believe we'll get a full Death Mountain clear, both Light and Dark World, which is also pretty uncommon. fast big key, unfortunately, won't matter too much.
Oh, and I stand wildly corrected. It seems that Moldorn was holding the small key, which puts the last item of Tower of Hera in the very famous Tower of Hera coffee break basement. Mikan skipped out of it on it. Let's see if Husky can get a huge payoff by checking this.
I guess you could still call it that Moldorm had an item. At least he was gating the item directly.
Yeah.
Mikan...
That was pretty troll of him, right?
Think though. Mikan does fortunately remember that he does not have the hook shot. Does not waste any time spinning around in circles. Does opt to dive deeper.
Yeah, nice use of cape there to get through the roller rooms, because at this point, a hit from a roller would have taken him out. I believe they do 4 hearts of damage, so that's not something you can deal with right now with Green Mail. But let's see on Husky's side what we got going on in Hera Basement. This could be huge, because at this point, I don't think Mikan plans on ever going and checking this.
I doubt that is going to cross Mikan's mind until very late in the run. Fortunately, though, ooh.
Just a big 20.
Mikan having a little skirmish with these change jumps, has to be careful with his green mail. I believe he will.
He will definitely die. There's a lot. There's like 4 different enemies, 5 if you count Trinex, that do 4 hearts of damage in this dungeon. The Pokies or Hoku Bokus, the Chain Chomps, the lasers, the wall lasers, or the rollers. And then Trinex himself will do 4 hearts of damage if you directly run into him.
Yeah, definitely a very scary dungeon. Of course, it is chronologically the last dungeon in the game, of course, with the randomizer. That is not always the case.
Oh, yeah, that's, oh gosh, what a terrible room. So you saw there, he hit him with the fire rod, which kills the Poke, but sometimes the fire rod just decides to, well, when you hit him with the fire rod, a piece of him will go flying off and bounce across the room, and sometimes the fire rod will also catch that as well and burn it. But in this case, he got a bank shot, was aware enough to step out of the way and not take 4 hearts of damage. But then inadvertently got shot by the laser.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that do a lot of damage in this dungeon as niuhuskie is checking out the Paradox Cave.
Whew, just like that. That little pokey butt would have flew over and hit Mikan for another 4, but the fire rod is a strange item with the fact that its shots will kind of leave a invisible but like lingering hitbox. You can see that sometimes on like landmula fights where you can hit 2 landmulas at the same time with 1 fire rod shot. Same with cold stare, or it's same with just enemies in general.
Yeah, the fire rod does appear to exhibit some area of effect, if I may. Meanwhile, Shovel in the Mimic Cave.
Well, hey, that's going to be convenient for routing, because at this point he'll probably do Hype Cave west to Digging Game up to Thieves Town. He can check Stumpy and check the shovel spot at the same time. But we're gonna
definitely
dive.
be able to cross off a lot of items off the South Dark World.
Yeah, he's gonna hope that that shovel leads to something, or there's still something in this dungeon, because it's not looking very good thus far. I'd be curious to see if Husky decides to go in there. Oh, those little dust mites are annoying. They always show up at just the wrong time. A predictable small key. So I haven't been... Okay, so there are 4 chests left for him. One of them has to be a small key. And And the other 3 can be either 3 items or 2 items and a compass, which would put the last item on Trinex. Could you imagine if he finds Ice Rod in here, and then, like, Trinex has something, or the green pendant leads to something?
Oh, no. That would be quite hype to see, actually.
It would be incredible. And Husky heading on out of there. Unfortunately, saving and quitting whilst in the Dark World, which will spawn him on top of the pyramid, unless this is a trip to Catfish anyway, in which this was a smart play by him.
Definitely. Husky does opt to take his hammer and run. That's ouch. Mikan does get hit in the face by a laser. Is going to open the safety door. Not a bad choice, as dying at this point would put him all the way back at the big chest.
I don't quite understand why he chose to use his cape, walking all the way down and thus wasting all of his magic. It's going to make clear and the rest of this a little bit more unfortunate. He does have a fairy, so he can at least get this one, but the other 2 are going to be a little bit harder. Berna.
Now, unfortunately, Mikan does not have any magic left to make use of that.
Still 1 more item.
Meanwhile, we are getting our first high cap check from Husky. So far, only a big 20. Some more money, and it's not very hype.
Not very. Nor was that T-Rock. So for Mikan, he needs that shovel to lead to something. Otherwise, that was a particularly big bust, unfortunately. So, but at the same time, you never know how the rest of the run's going to go. It's so tantalizing to make that trip over to T-Rock when it is available to you. For Mikan's sake, we need to hope that that shovel leads to something, and we need for the rest of the dungeon to not contain anything. Unfortunately, for him, Trinex does hold an item, and then there is still, of course, that green pendant to think about.
Yes, the green pendant will bronze another item from Sahasrara. Another one of the fetch quests of the game. As it does look like Mikan is going to explore the Dark World, as Husky is going to make his way into Ice Palace. Unfortunately, won't find the hammer in that, as we already did find that in the Tower of Hera, but...
Yup, that's true. He won't find the hammer in here because he already has it.
Yeah, I thank you for that one.
That's funny. But he is going to have a little bit, potentially harder of a time getting through this dungeon just because he doesn't have the hook shot. So it really all comes down to what that first chest is. If that first chest is a small key, then routing through this dungeon is going to be a little bit more convenient. Anything else might be bad. But this is a bit of a crazy gamble from him. Just because, no half magic, Master Sword, Fire Rod. Well, Fire Rod's good, but you got to be pretty confident going in here with this setup.
Yeah, definitely not an easy dungeon. Unfortunately, does not get the small key.
Just a 10 arrow capacity upgrade, so routing through this dungeon is not going to be very convenient.
The moment of truth here.
Oh, well,
about that.
We'll have to ask Mikan his exact thoughts on that. It's a good item. It's probably not what he wanted to see, but at the same time, he's probably not upset by it. But the time you spend doing Silverless Ganon is definitely much shorter than the time you spend almost full clearing T-Rock.
Yeah, well, that is...
so I'd say that does not make up for it at all. Unless he never finds a sword upgrade. Then I'd say it's worth it. Because Master Sword Silverless, get out of here.
Oof, that's really tough indeed. Now, of course, having silver arrows in and of itself is very nice, as it does insta-kill, I believe, almost every enemy, as well as the vast majority of the bosses.
Husky getting over to the Ice Palace bomb jump section, but down to 1 heart, so unfortunately will not be able to do it. But just based on how this, you're going to full clear the dungeon anyway, I guess it doesn't really matter too much. And only a heart container from the digging game. So Mikan, probably both players wanting to find those boots just to be able to get the flute.
Yes, unfortunately, Husky takes a Pangator to the face. Does opt to be steadfast and dive right back in as Mikan is going to save the Bullfrog. Because with that mirror in hand, we'll be able to draw the frog, check the hammer pegs, as well as get the purple chest out of the way.
It's a bit of a slow adventure, especially when you can't do the hammer dash or flute the purple chest over. But it's nice to get all this overworld out of the way all in one go instead of having to like backtrack in like cases where you have like late hammer or late mitts. And just having the mirror in general is extremely helpful for this.
Definitely, although only leading to a vanilla piece of heart.
Oof. Fortunately, another death for Husky. In that kind of situation, I would opt to just drop that ether, which I believe will just freeze the penguins, but will give you a chance to kind of breathe. Oh, and there's Bombos, which is actually a very nice item to have. I would feel much more confident diving Ice Palace right now with Bombos in hand. It kind of gives you a free hand on Cold Stare, giving you a little bit extra magic to combine, Master Sword spins with Fire Rod.
That is true, of course. A lot of fire dealing a lot of damage to a lot of enemies. As we get a Batcave check. Though only a bomb capacity upgrade, not what Mikan's looking for.
I believe also in that top chest or pot right above the switch over on Husky's side is a bunny beam that you could powder for a free fairy right there. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. And much like Hera Basement, Mikan is opting to skip out on purple chest for now. Curious to see if he's going to at least dive maybe the front floor of Thieves Town, or if he's going to go for another full clear pendant dungeon. He's probably got his eyes set more on... Well, I mean, now he can do Skull Woods. He can do Ice Palace. He can finish Pod.
Ooh, unfortunately, Husky taking another unfortunate death to the spikes, making his way back to the bomb jump location.
Yeah, this is a bit of a vicious cycle that you can easily fall into of just repeatedly dying over and over again. It's one of those things where you got to kind of sit down and be like, what am I capable of doing? Given the items that I have, can I do this? Can I finish this dungeon? Would it be faster to go do something else that's maybe a little bit easier, or I have like a higher success rate at completing? Or even just recognizing, hey, I have bottles. I should go buy potions.
That is very true, of course. Knowing your limits within the randomizer can be a lifesaver.
Yeah, I know I have personally attempted to go in and do like Skull Woods, Fighter Sword, Green Mail, 6 Hearts, and found myself dying a lot. And you just have to stop for a second and be like, I should be doing something else. This is a waste of time.
Yeah, you really have to think to yourself, is this really worth it? Now, of course, we as commentators and viewers, we have 2 points of views to the seed. So, of course, for us, it is easier to say that that certain calls are less optimal than others.
Well, I mean, I like the Ice Palace play, especially when you can complete it. But the best way to do it, if you can get the bomb jump, if you know like the other bomb jump in the hookshot room, which would allow you to kind of skip having to run all the way around. And if you're confident with your Master Sword abilities, I mean, heck, 3 bottles, you can go buy a green potion or a blue potion, and then just, you know, Fire Rod the first phase, power up, Fire Rod the second phase.
Yes, very true. Of course, potions being one of the more valuable assets, being able to restore your magic as well as your hearts. Very helpful, as we do have Mikan in Thieves Town right now.
It looks like he's going to go ahead and continue. I believe he might have only gotten 1 or 2 items in the front half. And so he's on board to go ahead and finish out and see what else he can find in here. Bomb capacity upgrade, probably not what he's looking for. But he's going to truck on. And Husky, first one into Skullwoods, finds the book.
Ooh, literacy.
That is our Desert Palace access. And with Mirror in hand, that also gives us access to both Ether and Bombo's tablet, as well as checking the pedestal right after Skullwoods. And you got to be thinking, at this point, aside from Ice Rod, we have the ability to full clear all the pendant dungeons. We're 1 item away from that. So you got to be thinking, pedestal could potentially have something.
That is very true. I mean, at this point, it would either have to be the medallion required for Misery Maya, which we don't even know, as we have yet to get the boots. Talking about boots, it's time to go fast. Now, that does open up the Maya area, as I mentioned. And if it turns out to be either Bombos or Ether, we may see Mikan taking a dive in as well.
Yeah, that is a very nice find there. And Husky probably feeling pretty good finding that blue mail as well in Skullwoods. So we got both of our items in Skullwoods. So Husky will now be able to just skip everything else. Just grab the small keys that they need, head on to the Mothula fight. And blue mail, Master Sword, still not as ideal. So hopefully we can get some magic along the way.
Definitely not. Of course, there are a few magic pots available, both in the overworld as well as within the dungeon itself. As we see Mikan taking on Blind.
He's a little bit off script, taking a lot of hits, but takes him down, no trouble. No big trouble. Finds a heart container, not even the Sank heart. But Mikan now an Ice Rod away from getting that pedestal item. And you know, when you have more pendants than crystals, you got to be thinking to yourself like, am I doing this wrong or am I good? Am I good?
That is definitely a scary prospect. Now, the Ice Rod could still be pretty much anywhere, with the exception of the pedestal as well as Trinex prize.
Husky going hard on those sword beams, and Mikan utilizing a rarely seen potion shop in Village of Outcasts. After that blind fight, he's probably feeling a little unsure of where his abilities on these boss fights, and of course he's just a few screens shy of finding the blue mail, but always good to be prepared. That's the thing, it's like not only like knowing your limits, but knowing when to take advantage of the abilities that you have. A lot of times you see players will just take a death or take a ton of damage when they're sitting with Cane of Burna or the Cape. You know, they have empty bottles and they're not buying potions. Take advantage. Definitely. When you have safeties, use them, because the time you spend dying is much worse than the time you spend using them, or you know, using them to the full potential. All right, we are seeing the Mothula fight from Husky as we get the beautiful flute sounds over on Mikan's side. Sorry, go ahead.
I lost what I was going to say.
Something about potions?
Oh yes, about using all your items at your disposal that you have in your inventory is definitely one of the key points in the randomizer, as opposed to the vanilla game. A lot of interesting routing choices can be made due to how certain items are laid out, which would pretty much never occur in the vanilla game. Ooh, unfortunately, Mothula, a little bit too strong for Husky, does end up taking a death from a spike, which will do 1 full heart of damage regardless of mail.
Yeah, and also, firstly, with blue mail, Mothula still does a full heart of damage, which is still better than the 2 hearts of damage that Mothula does with green mail. But that's one of the tricky things when you're down to Master Sword. You're trying to deal as much damage as possible, but when you're sitting there charging a sword spin, it slows the game down, makes it so it's a little bit harder to react quick enough, and you got, of course, with the Mothula fight, the longer the fight goes, the worse it gets. So
definitely, the moving spikes will eventually just pile up, and the screen will be almost entirely filled with them. It can be quite a nightmare, as we do see Mikan following closely behind Husky here.
And I'm going to go ahead and assume after this, Mikan more than likely going to go over and check what's on Bumper Cave, because he does have that cape. Maybe going to go ahead and check Bonk Rocks, Graveyard Ledge, and King's Tomb. He's still looking for a few more items. He needs the hookshot. He just needs the hookshot and maybe another medallion. That's about it.
That is pretty much all we need for Go Mode. We don't really have the ability to pretty much clear everything. Yes, with the exception of Strong Palace, we have access to pretty much every crystal dungeon.
That Gibdo room was getting a little out of hand for Mikan, trying to hit the Gibdo into the spike, which you can do that twice. It'll kill the Gibdo instantly, but when you got a bunch of random enemies flying at you, it can get a little out of hand. And we see Mikan switch into the hammer, which, hammer has a little bit harder of a hitbox, but it does tempered sword damage and allows you to take down the boss much, much quicker. Kudos to him. It was a good fight.
Yes, very true. Now, I do believe that one of our runners' bottles does contain a bee, which is Mothula is one of the.
Don't say it. Don't do it. Keep going. Keep going.
It's one of the few bosses that can be damaged by a bee. Mikan is going to give us the famed pedestal check, and it is.
It's the hook shot.
Oh
my
no!
God.
A pedestal required seed. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, that's actually good for Mikan in a sense, because of the fact that he's already done all of T-Rock, so now he just has to go back once he gets Ice Rod, kick and take him out. But oh man, so it's a hunt to find the Ice Rod for Mikan. That's actually it's kind of like it's a good and bad situation, to be honest. Except for the fact that it's the Ice Rod, which is what. Oh wow, he actually got that dash. It's really crispy. Nice. Also worth pointing out that Bombos Medallion was the required medallion for Misery Mires, so Mikan will be able to go in there and go ahead and finish that dungeon, which he'll likely elect to do maybe after Desert Palace. A lot of times you'll see players, they'll open up Mire and then they'll mirror right in front of it, do Desert. Well, actually, I don't know. Do the front half of Desert, mirror out, go back in, do Mire, then go. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up at this point.
Very interesting rounding choices.
Listen.
Indeed available.
2 dungeons. Both of them have 2 items. They're the same dungeon. Pretty much.
An even toss-up.
Exactly the same dungeon. Did you know that you need a medallion to get into Desert Palace?
on the off chance. Wouldn't that be an interesting requirement instead of the book?
Can we get a new randomizer version that every dungeon requires a medallion, and they add like 10 total medallions? The Fire Rod medallion. All right. All right, ROM hackers out there.
Make it happen.
Here. I've got money. I don't have much, but what would it take? How many bits would it take? Anyway, back to the race. Mikan gonna go through Desert Palace first. Because here's the thing: if he finds the Ice Rod in Desert, then he could go mode Mire, and I feel like that's a go mode Mire. If you get like the really nice early big key is much nicer because you can avoid having to go through the the torch room or go all the way to the right side and check the big chest. Blah blah blah.
That is very true. Although if the big key is especially trolly, it might still be a full clear of Maya.
Well, unfortunately, that is both items out of Desert Palace. So now all that's left to do is take out land molas. This is very important, Stan. I need to talk about what's happening before you chime in with whatever you're going to talk. No, I'm kidding.
Right? Yeah, I've lost my train of thought again. Thank you.
Good. Great. I'm glad. Glad to help.
Thanks.
I believe
Anyway.
this is, what is this, attempt number 4 for Mafiola? Or for Husky?
I believe we're at the 5th already. Could be wrong
Okay.
though, but Husky is indeed having a little bit of trouble getting the moth down. Of course, moth one of the more difficult fights due to the way that this obviously non-buggy, glitch-free game has been programmed, as Mothula is coded not to take damage from spikes, as otherwise it would be pretty easy. So. Incidentally, if Mothula is knocked into spikes, all damage done will be negated. Oh,
And he does it.
Wow.
Nice. That one heart clutch.
Double map, double
map.
crystal.
Double crystal. Yo, shoutouts. Good job, Husky. Finishing the fight. I would like to see Husky, once they eventually, I hope that they go into Thieves, get the boots, get the flute, and then buys a few dang potions, please. The only suggestion I can give right now.
Yeah, with just shy of 750 rupees, you do have a lot of money to burn. Or rupees, rather.
Well, it looks like Mikan's opting to go ahead and take out Helmassar King. I don't actually recall if Helmassar has an item or not, but regardless, it is a required dungeon. And I'm curious if Mikan's going to opt to do Ice Palace next. Because here's the thing, as soon as he finds the Ice Rod, he can go mode the rest of the dungeons. That's it. That's all it takes.
Yeah, that is pretty much all we need.
So something like Ice Palace, worst case scenario, I think, is Ice Rod, Left Side Swamp. Like, that would be the worst possible thing that could make the seed already terrible, or more terrible. I believe Mikan did skip these 2 chests here. This will be a small key, and if he's paid attention, he'll know that the other chest, the vanilla big key chest, has to be a small key to avoid a soft lock, so he should be heading straight to Helmet at this point.
Yes, of course, key routing within the Palace of Darkness can be kind of tricky. This is the dungeon with the most amount of small keys, barring Ganon's Tower, of course. And I believe 6, was it? For Palace of Darkness? 6 keys in pod. A lot of ways to spend them as well. But thankfully, the Randomizer developers did make sure that no matter how bad you are at routing any dungeon, you can still complete a seed.
Alright, so for Husky, we need Husky to go into Thieves Town, because in Blind's cell, well, he's going to go anyway because he knows it's a ped seed. So he has to full clear Thieves Town regardless. So there's no what ifs in this case. It's just a when.
Yes, it's pretty much just hoping that Husky gets to the correct location sooner rather than later.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if Mikan's thinking about that Hera basement at this point. It's like, oh man, what if Ice Rod's in there? Oh no. Which we know it's not, because it's a big 20, but Mikan skipped it, so...
Yeah, very true. Another one of those out-of-the-way locations. It would take quite a while to go to get back there, so for Mikan's time's sake, I hope that he's going to live with his gamble. Meanwhile, Husky, clearing the village of the outcasts, will be heading into Thieves Town.
Gonna find those beautiful boots in the chest right beside Blind in Blind's cell. Mikan over here on the other side, fighting Helpstar King using the nice little hammer strats where you hold out your sword, will not only kind of extend your hammer hitbox, but it'll also keep you from turning around 180. Because when you are just using hammer, every time you hit them, it'll kind of flip backwards, and then you gotta reposition. It does create a little bit of extra lag, but it's better that than wasting time like running into him. And then one silver arrow to the face takes him down. Only getting a heart container, but that is one more crystal. All right, let's recap real quick. So, we've only seen the first item in Ice Palace from Husky's side. It was an item, but it was a useless item. It was an air capacity upgrade. We have seen all of T-Rock minus Trinex, because Mikan full cleared it the first time he was up there, but didn't find the Ice Rod. So for Mikan, all he has left is Hera Basement, which we already know, it's big 20, Purple Chest, Ice Palace, which holds 2 more items that we don't know, Mire, which has 2 items, and it's also worth pointing out that Ice Palace is the other Pyramid Fairy Crystal, which would unlock 2 more items at Pyramid Fairy, and Catfish. We haven't seen Catfish. Oh gosh, Catfish Ice Rod? Gross.
Oh. Yes, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. In an out-of-the-way location, runners don't like to check those as they take quite a considerable amount of time. And being speedrunners in nature, we want to go fast, which of course, unfortunately rather.
That's a bad fall. Not only falling, but taking a hit from the little blob whilst falling, so going down 2 hearts. You want to have sword beams in this room just because it makes getting through it a lot quicker. Because you can combine that with Fire Rod to kill all these Wizrobes in one cycle. Someone in chat brings up an even worse concept, in my opinion, than Catfish. The bonk chests in Hookshot Cave having the Ice Rod. Think about it. That would be absolutely terrible.
I kind of don't want to, honestly.
Don't think about it then. Just forget it. It never happened.
Although it is in logic. Either way, we are nowhere near that unfortunate spot if it does end up being there. Now, we did not get the Godmire today, although it doesn't matter too much as Mikan will be getting all the items, of course, looking for that Ice Rod. As Husky is making his way down towards his boots as well as the Lost Maiden.
Oh, and someone in chat makes another good point. There's still Spike Cave left for us to check as well.
Oh yes, very true. Never mind.
That's go mode.
The Ice Rod.
There it is. Ice Rod in Misery Mire.
Wow, what a seed this has been.
You know, really slow start. Agahnim required, Pedestal Seed, with still sitting at Master Sword. So, I mean, here's the thing, like, you kind of wish you had checked more stuff along the way and find maybe a Tempered Sword. But fortunately for Mikan, he's going to be able to... Well, actually, for both players, because here's the thing. Once Husky finds their Ice Rod, they'll be able to go up, do T-Rock in one go, get the shovel, and then... oh, but shovel is in Mimic Cave. They might skip that. I stand corrected. We'll have to wait and see.
Definitely.
As far as we know, the shovel led to the silvers. And that would be a rough one to miss if we end up getting to Ganon without another sword upgrade.
That is true. There is quite a significant difference between Master Sword Silverless and Master Sword Silvers. So it will be interesting to see if Husky will get those silvers, which would help him quite tremendously. Not only for the Ganon fight, but also, as I mentioned earlier, for just normal enemies as well as bosses.
I know Mikan, I would say, is very comfortable with Master Sword Silver, or Master Sword would be very comfortable with Master Sword Silver Ganon. So I totally anticipate him go moding like Ice Palace and stuff like that. He might check like maybe like the double Freezor room. Maybe.
Yeah,
actually, probably not. He probably won't because he wants to conserve as much magic. But he does have Bombas. I don't know. We'll find out.
That is true. As we do find the big key, I am expecting both of these runners to at least check chests that are not out of the way, just in case it does contain, for example, the half magic upgrade or a sword upgrade.
And the other nice thing for Mikan is he'll have silver arrows going into this Vitreous fight, which pretty much makes the difficulty drop from normal to incredibly like baby mode. So that's going to be good for him.
Yes. Meanwhile, Husky receiving his flute is going to deliver the frog. It'll be interesting to see if Husky opts to take the big chest for a ride, or not the big chest, the purple chest for a ride.
So yeah, despite all that, I mean, we still have a Go Mode Swamp Palace, a Go Mode Ice Palace, but not until we first go all the way back through T-Rock and get to Trinex. And then we still have G-Tower, which could have a really unfortunate location for the big key. So it's really hard right now to try and predict what kind of time we're going to see from our first place finisher.
Definitely a lot of variability in possible end times. Of course, the big key could also be pretty trolly, and I hate to say it, but it might be Tyrum. The way the seed has been treating our runners.
Don't say it. Take it back. Take it back. Listen. This game has been rough enough with that opening and then Ped. It's going to be nice. Once we get to G-Tower, it's going to be super friendly. It's going to be second chest, first chest being Tempered Sword.
Yes, our runners are going to check the tile room first.
All right. You could live in your own little imaginary world. That's fine. Go for it. All you, man. It looks like Mikan's going to drop off his bees. He's going to set them free. And I'm going to pick up a few extra potions here. I don't think he needs it, to be honest, based on how he's been executing throughout this run so far. But, you know, having a little extra magic refill for Master Sword Cold Stare, for Master Sword Trinex or Hammer Trinex, however you want to look at it. Or even something as simple as, you know, Master Silver Ganon. You know, a lot of times those will use cape strats on the first two phases. Nice dead rock, though.
Very unfortunate placement indeed, but any safety is very welcome, even if it is not used. It is a safety net in case things do go south. Nice spin speed there. Unfortunately, does get hit by the Tektite. Oh, has enough of his shenanigans. As we will see the Turtle Rock finish. course, no need to check the spike cave. As Husky is taking care of some overall locations while taking his chest for a walk.
Some sweet fairy RNG. Oh, okay.
Oh,
I thought the
okay.
dead rock was going to stop him from getting it.
Now, thanks to Mikan already having opened both the warp tile as well as the Turtle Rock Dungeon, will be able to dive straight in, head straight for Trinex, and thereafter onwards to the Boing Stick.
So for Husky, upon turning in Purple Chest and checking Bombos, Husky needs to immediately fly over and go into Mire to get Ice Rod. Can finish Mire, can finish Desert, then just needs to head up to T-Rock. Though is significantly behind, particularly in T-Rock, just because of having to full clear it, basically. But at the same time, it was a very friendly big key location, so could skip a couple chests. Could skip, I think, would be able to skip Laser Bridge as well.
Didn't have a small key to get to Trinex, and that's of course the vanilla big key chest is skipped, which would save a key, of course. But with that, it does look like Husky is going to make his way over to the Maya area. Mikan blazing through the Turtle Rock. Of course, having only one objective, and that is to get rid of Trinex.
Now, given his particular inventory, we'll likely see maybe a combination of hammer / Master Sword strats on Trinex. Depends on what you're comfortable with. It's partially one of the reasons why I really enjoy the Trinex fights. One of my favorites in the game, just because of all the different ways you can fight him based on what your inventory looks like.
Yes, also thankfully we did find the Master Sword, as the level 1 sword slashers don't actually deal damage to either Trinex or the elemental heads.
Nice little slashing song for us, Mikan. Appreciate it. C players do that a lot, like in Agahnim, like when you're waiting for him to do his thunder attack, people will slash or boomerang along to the music. And I can see now why Mikan went ahead and bought that blue potion. A few misses along the way. So he would have had to have mirrored out, which would have unfortunately put him at the beginning of the dungeon, since he had already, cleared most of it. And no safety door this time, no middle chest.
Yes, being a bit more liberal with the fire rod, knowing that he has safeties. Meanwhile, phase 2 for Trinex here, as Husky is finishing up the Desert Palace. And as you predicted, Hammer and Master Sword strats here takes down the Trinex for the green pendant.
Yeah, it's usually pretty safe to use hammer on the... Oh, nice red boomerang. Pretty safe to use hammer on the elemental heads as well. You just got to kind of... You got to get the right lineup for it, but, it's similar... Well, sometimes the hitbox is a little wonky, so... But a good fight for Mikan there. And he will be now heading straight to get his hook shot from the pedestal, and then will likely... I'd say he'd probably go swamp to ice in that order.
It shouldn't really matter at the end of the day, as they both have to be completed.
Listen. I'm just trying to read his mind. Okay, is that okay? Can I do that?
I mean, I don't know if Mikan.
I'm reading your mind right now, and you're saying, yeah, that's fine. Will do whatever you want. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Man, I should charge for these kind of things. Husky heading into the Landville's one fight to finish out Desert, and we just gotta hope that he heads right into Mire, and we'll get that Ice Rod.
Now, Mikan pulling the pedestal. Wonder what he's going to find then.
Oh my god, the blind pull ped?
Oh my god.
Oh, it's a hook shot. My mind is blown right now. I am so hype by that troll pedestal.
Definitely, and I know your mind is blown because I'm counter-reading it.
Counterintelligence, oh gosh. I'm terrified. Unfortunately, Husky having a little bit of trouble getting the fire rod shots to land on Landmola's. Takes down one of them, but he's going to have to use sword, Master Sword spins, slashes to finish him off. He's got plenty of health. Just going to lose a little bit of time here.
Mikan, meanwhile, will be opening up the Swamp Palace dungeon. Of course, is not going to look for pretty much anything but maybe picking up a couple of chests along the way, as the big key is unrequired in order to beat the dungeon, which is always quite nice.
So Swamp Palace, pretty straightforward dungeon. I'm curious to see if he's going to elect to check a couple chests along the way. He might find a tempered sword. There's always a sword in Swamp Palace. Always, every time.
Yes, can't confirm.
It's also one of those bosses that Master Sword or Hammer strats are awful. Because you either have to use the beautiful JRPG-style turn-based system to swap between hookshot and hammer to take down the little puffs, or if you're feeling adventurous, you can go for the Master Sword double slash or Master Sword spin. And if you're feeling even more adventurous, like beyond that, like mountain climbing, like volcano diving adventurous, you could even go for the double hook spin. So hook 2, spin, kill 2 at the same time. But I don't know. I don't know if Mikan is that daring. Find out.
Find out next time on ALTTPR TV. And welcome back to ALTTPR TV.
Yo, are we on YouTube right now? Is this a Let's Play? What episode are we on?
Welcome to episode 400 and... Yeah, bugger it. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. We're doing it live right now, right here. It's happening. All right, and let's see if Mikan heads south in this next room to go check those 2 chests. I kind of doubt he will. But I'm proven wrong. He's going to get his tempered sword right here. Right
Second
here.
chest.
Dang
Boom.
it. Darn it. All right, that's fine.
Almost. Maybe he'll buy it.
It's just that the difference between Master Sword and Tempered Sword for Ganon, particularly for this boss too, is ridiculous. It's the amount of time saved. It's so nice. So I don't blame him for checking those 3. And he's kind of, when you look at it, it's like, I just got the hook shot. It was on pedestal. There's a good chance that these items I'm going to find in the back here are going to be a little bit more higher value just because of what it took to get to this point. Yo, that was a... That's pretty good, Mikan. That's pretty sweet.
Meanwhile, Mikan opting for the hook double slash strat. Not feeling like wearing out the start button on his controller. Very heads up play. as Husky is about to pick up his ice rod.
And for all he knows, he is now in essentially go mode. Of course, we don't know what Husky is comfortable with, at least for like endgame. If he's gonna, if he know, I'm assuming he knows Silverless. But you know what happens when you assume things. And we'll be able to tell based on how many more chests he checks along the way.
Yes, and with that, it is on to the last dungeon for Mikan, the Ice Palace. We will be most likely be seeing two brand new items we have yet to uncover. Ooh, unfortunately, Husky missing the fire rod block clip glitch. Has to go the long way around for at least the left one.
Well, more than likely from Mikan's side. He might check maybe... I would say at least the double freezer room, but at the same time, we might only be seeing a cold stare coming up here. Especially because like that room is so inconvenient to take care of when you only have Master Sword. Of course, you know, Hookshot is pretty effective on these guys for whatever reason, killing them in one hit.
Penguins are weak to hookshots.
Did you know?
I mean, obviously, right?
I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point. Like, how do you not know that? Everybody should know that. Come on, guys. I mean, that is one of the other fun facts about just playing Randomizer is, you know, discovering what works on enemies. Because, you know, how often do you get to be in a situation where you like have to use hookshot to clear certain enemies, or you know, who would have thought that using Ether Medallion kills the Gibdos in one hit, as opposed to freezing them, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely a lot of.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
Whoa.
That was super clutch by Husky.
Wow, he really did thread the needle on that bridge there. Does find the big key, is happy to be able to continue onwards onto victorious. Mikan coming up on the double freezer room. Ooh, only a dungeon item, unfortunately.
It's so hard, even when you're in a go mode dungeon, it's so hard not to check chests along the way. Even though there's a good chance that you're going to be checking like upwards of 22 chests in G Tower looking for the big key. And then still probably even going to check the extra 4 up the gauntlet.
Yes, very true, depending, of course, on the run's equipment. We'll be checking a few more chests as we will see the Bombos Gold Snare fight.
That's kind of the nice thing, is using Bombos, because of course with your magic you can only use 8 fire rod shots, but Bombos only will eat up the usage of 2 fire rod shots, allowing you to at least get 6 more fire rod shots. And the other kind of crazy thing about the fire rod, as we mentioned earlier, is the lingering hitbox, where sometimes if you're lucky enough you can kind of hit all 3 of the cold stare puffs with a single fire rod shot, dealing massive damage. And there's our tempered sword. All right, we are good to go. That is even better. Like, we were in go mode, but now we're like comfy go mode, like cozy go mode.
Now we're in gotta go mode. Of course, thankfully with that sword being on a required boss, Husky will not be missing out on that sort of rate. So no advantages are gained from checking a few random chests. Now, Willard.
Yes.
we do have a long-standing tradition. There are 22 locations. Of course, I have already given my vote on this, but which chest from 1 to 22 do you think the big key is going to be in?
I would say well, now that we found our tempered sword, I don't really have to like gamble or predict. I'm not even playing. I wouldn't even have to predict where I think the sword and G tower is going to be. So yeah, let's put it in the mid range. Let's do let's put it in random room, top left corner.
Random room, always a fan favorite, of course. The random room is aptly named random room because you will generally only see it within the randomizer, as in the vanilla game, I believe it's only a couple of arrows and bombs.
We got Husky going with a bit of a scary strat here. He'd actually kind of get away with just standing put and just splashing rapidly. The eyeballs will always just kind of run into you in a strange pattern. The only thing you really got to watch out for is the lightning attacks we saw him get hit by. I'm curious why he's opted to use spins here when he has plenty of arrows, and it only takes 8 arrows to take down the big guy. I'm curious if this is just a comfort thing, or except I would be extremely uncomfortable in this situation. Maybe just a lack of game knowledge. But we do see our first item, and we got Mikan going for the straight left route, and we do have a map on the torch item, so that's item number 1. Coming up, we do have 2, 3, 4, and 5. While Husky does take down Vitreous with sword spins alone. So GG on that. That was tough.
Very good job in that, indeed, as we find Red Mill pretty decked out, coming to the end of the seed, fully in red equipment for Mikan,
which matches well with the the pink bunny. So really fitting color style you got there, Mikan. Very stylish.
Definitely a trendsetter. Mikan making great use of all of his inventory items here, using both the Canis Mario to remotely hit one of the switches, as well as using the hook shot for some general movement. As we get half magic, a very welcome item indeed.
That's a lot of safeties we're finding in G Tower alone. Shield, mail, magic. What's next? A blue boomerang? Get out of here. Come on, top left. Come on. Oh. Now I'm mad.
And it's not even in the random room, unfortunately. Mikan will have to look elsewhere. As we did see Husky stock it up on some potions. We'll be heading into the Ice Palace.
I love that raft. That's something we're thinking about. Had Husky had a successful trip through Ice Palace the first time they visited here, they would have been with Tempered Sword much earlier, which would have been very nice for dealing with like Mothula, some of the other bosses, or even enemies inside. But we do have our big key, chest number
11, I believe. Right? I can count.
That'd be 12.
12.
Because you count the torch.
Oh, no. Yes. I said 12. Trust me.
You're right. You did say 12. I said 11. My bad. Congratulations to Willard J. Bradley. Oh my gosh, what an honor. Finally, I get to be on the leaderboard. It only took a year of rando journeys to get there.
Well, you have to start somewhere, and not everyone will have the same success.
I know, right? Gotta start so you gotta work. You gotta start from the bottom, work your way up. But when the big keys in like Bob's chest or Ice Armos, like that full left or right route is obviously the best one to make. But some people, some weird people that have these weird routes where they go like Stalfos room, and then they check the right side compass room, and then they go all the way left side to Ice Armos, would be at quite a disadvantage in this certain situation.
Definitely a bit more of a convoluted route.
A little bit, a wee bit, but it worked out in the end for Mikan. And he's making his way up the gauntlet pretty handily, pretty easily. He's got plenty of health, plenty of safeties, tempered sword, a Beamos to the face. He's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely considering that we're only 4 hearts away from having found everything, pretty much.
And at this rate, he's more than likely to finish right around maybe the 152 mark, I'd say. Something like that, maybe 153. Depends on how friendly Agahnim and Ganon are with their warps and patterns. So, despite how awful this seed started, and with it being a pedestal seed, finishing anything underneath sub 2 hours is pretty satisfactory, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely having a seed require this much of you and still having the potential of a sub 2 hour is nothing to sneeze at, of course.
Now, of course, given Mikan's routing into T-Rog early and finding the Tempered Sword, the Silver Arrows don't really save overall that much time on the Ganon fight compared to diving Turtle Rock twice. So, but at the end of the day, at this pace, he's going to be getting the win regardless, and that's all that really matters in these tourney races.
Husky making use of the powder to fill himself up to almost full, as Mikan is continuing upstairs. Will be interesting to see if we will get a check for maybe Gold Sword, although I doubt that at this point anything is on Mikan's mind that can be of use. Maybe Bugnet.
And Mikan successfully takes down Moldorm 2. Let's see if he does the thing or not. Nah, he's good to go. And by thing, I mean check the chest. That's it. Nothing else to it. But with the Tempered Sword, maybe wanting Gold Sword, but...
Yeah. Either way, I believe Mikan is more than happy with the equipment that he has found to close this one out here for us. As, unfortunately, Agahnim 2 not giving a favorable pattern.
Ooh, that one, well, I was going to say that one was a good one, but then he got the blue ball there, so... That's an angle for you. Wow, it's that's going to do it for Agahnim 2 and G-Tower. So at this rate, with Tempered and Silvers, let's say it's about a minute and a half of Ganon. So maybe right around the 152 mark.
Yes, and of course with a lot of hearts, as well as I believe he does have at least one blue potion left from his Cold Stare fight. What does that make us? Acquaintances?
Yeah.
Ooh, gets a very nice spot here from Ganon, being able to get a couple of double hits in.
It's really nice when you get that top right pattern, especially when you miss the 1 and 1. If you miss the 1 cycle on the first phase, it's always good when you get a top right or top left pattern, which will always guarantee a 1 phase for that one, or 1 cycle for that phase. But very minimal Ganon warps. Just 4 silvers to put him down. Make that 5. Get a double here. Oh, opting to switch to the fire rod.
And with that, Mikan finishes up the big pick here. Will be walking through the door to attain his Triforce. And with that, Mikan finishes with an official time of 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 57 seconds.
GG's to Mikan. That was a much faster of a finish than I predicted. Just hitting that sub 151. And given how awful this seed was, it's a good place to finish with. So GG's. We get our GG's in chat for that guy.
Well, that did indeed just happen. The Triforce apologizing, knowing very well what it has done.
And of course, we'll see if Mikan wants to come and hang out in here and chit-chat with us about that seed. The only real question I have for him is about those silver arrows.
Yes, definitely dipping into Turtle Rock to get that shovel, I believe, which led to the silver arrows. Meanwhile, Husky about to finish up his Cold Step fight. There you go, very well done. Will be getting his level 3 sword as well as another crystal. Only Storm Palace and the Palace of Darkness left for him to go. As well as Turtle Rock, of course, for the pedestal hookshot.
So while we wait for Mikan to get in here, we let's take a look at their schedule real quick. It appears that this is the last event going to be on tonight on Speed Gaming 5. So what a way to close things off. The crazy race.
Definitely a very exciting race. Coming down to pretty much doing everything that chat could possibly want from a seed. And the Tickle Beam sleeps again forever.
That is the worst name ever.
Tickle Beam. I believe it is a very, very specific. Meanwhile, Mikan is joining us here. GG on your victory.
I agree. Tickle Beam isn't quite a really great name.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
So, how about that shovel you found when you dipped Turtle Rock?
Oh man, so that was a nice consolation prize, I guess, because I would not have checked that otherwise.
Would you say that double dipping T-Rock was would you have rather have done it all in one go and then just potentially did silverless tempered, or were you satisfied with tempered silvers?
Well, the thing is, if I didn't have, I might have gone there looking for the ice rod if I hadn't already cleared it out. So I guess that was pretty cool. Like, I probably wouldn't have go-moded Swamp and Ice if I, well, I mean, I would have had the Ice Rod from Meyer first. Whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Dude, that was a doozy. I don't blame you. You're a little out of it. That was one heck of a opening too. Full clearing everything you could and still having to do Aga just to go get a glove in pod to then go up and do the rest of the stuff. We were wondering if Catfish was actually going to be the answer if you had to get the glove and then go to Catfish afterwards. So
I couldn't imagine Catfish being the answer, considering it opened up Death Mountain and then both the mitts and the hammer up there, opening up everything else.
But what if they had the mitts? Think about it.
What if? Then I would have ran out of places faster.
That's true. So the only things you skipped, I think, were just Hera Basement, which only had a big 20. So we were wondering if you
left on my notes. It says Hera 1.
Hera 1.
So
yeah.
I would forget it.
Good call. So worked out for you that it wasn't even necessary. But yeah, overall, how'd you feel about this seed? You pretty much, as soon as you got Dark World access, you were kind of just on a roll. You just, cleared everything in a pretty convenient order. The T-Rock play at the beginning, it's so hard to pass up.
Damn, it's so hard to pass it up. I couldn't not do it.
Especially, you have the right medallion, you open it up, and the first thought in my mind was, if he finds Kena Samari up on Death Mountain, he's going to do it.
Oh, yeah,
right
absolutely.
There. If you hadn't found Kena Samari, would you have head on over and do Spike Cave?
No, because I probably would have forgotten.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Nobody did Spike Cave. Spike Cave is dead. But yeah, overall it was good. No major dumbs in my opinion. Couple rooms that kind of gave you a little bit of trouble, like that room right outside of Argus with the little hover that kept on popping you.
Dude, this stupid water guys slid right out of my way. I was like, all right, I'm gonna hop right up there. Did not happen.
And of course, going into T-Rock with Green Mail, and I think by that point you had maybe 7 or 8 hearts, maybe more. Dealing with chain chomps is always a little stressful when you down that.
It was enough to take 2 hits, so I think I had at least 9.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah, I was being really safe there using the fire rod, and the chomps. That was fun. I kind of locked myself down in the bottom left and just prayed he wouldn't come eat my face.
Yeah, and overall, your opponent routed relatively similar. Had a bit of a trouble with instead of going to T-Rock after they did all the Death Mountain stuff, they hopped right into Ice Palace. They got the mushroom and then went straight to Ice Palace.
Whoa.
And had a bit of trouble in there with, Green Mail, Master Sword. I think the furthest they got was... I think they got to the second penguin room, the third penguin room. The one where you have to clear them all and then you go upstairs, or go up, and it has the little cross room with the yellow spike. Yeah. But had he been successful, he would have had Tempered Sword relatively early. It's a very nice nice gift from Cold Stare, especially in a Go mode Ice Palace.
I did Swamp first, hoping I could find the Tempered for Cold Stare, but it was the other way around.
Yeah. It was a good call, though, to go ahead and buy blue potions as well. Especially with that Trinex fight was a little rough.
Yeah, I know you can just like hammer it and stuff like that, and I should probably practice that, but I'm just whatever, it's 10 slashes, I'll just slash them. And then I remember, oh right, the Ice Head is impossible to hit from below. You can hit it with the fire rod, but then you can't hit it with the sword. And then if you do it from the side, you can hit it with a sword, but you can't hit it with the fire rod. Let's buy these blue potions before going up there.
It's like trying to hit the mini Moldorns in Mini Moldor Cave like horizontally with like the hook shot or fire rod. They're just so good at dodging. It's ridiculous. But yeah, overall, how'd you feel about the seed? Any final thoughts about that, or just thoughts moving on into the next round? You're now at 1-1, which is the largest pool of players. So you have a wide array of players you could get matched up with in week 3.
Oh no. We're running out of magic for that, sorry.
That was fine.
Yeah. It's whatever. I felt whatever. I'm sure chat was like, OMG, so trolly, because all they think about is the time. But
Yeah, I mean, given Agar required and Ped required, with T-Rock being a green pendant, you know, of course it's going to be a long time. And the fact that he still got like a 150, it's a good time.
yeah, when you're actually playing and like those situations come, you're just like, whatever. Suddenly you have to do all dungeons, but it's not a big deal.
And I think the only dungeon you were required to double dip was Pod for that glove, if I recall correctly. So
yes, I think you're right. Yeah, because the hammer was on the throne. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm really disappointed that mushroom was nothing. Like I could
We
go
had
and
actually-
do all of it.
we had actually forgotten. Well, at least I had forgotten about it once you guys got to the Dark Roll, and I was like, "The heck is Mikan doing? Oh, he's getting the mushroom. He can do that." Oh, imagine if that had like the hammer, and then you could just finish Pod in one go.
I know, that's what I was planning on doing. I was thinking, well, why do we have the mirror if we don't have to use it like right away to do something in the Dark World? And this is the only thing I can do with the mirror in the Dark World right now. So let's go get this stupid mushroom.
Dude, it was a smart play. Just unfortunately led to absolutely nothing, which is pretty standard in this game mode in general. Oh, and now that Husky is in the laser bridge, I need to ask you, how was that laser bridge?
I got rocked in the laser bridge.
I was confused because you tried to do the laser skip, the walking laser skip for the first one, and then use the cape to walk all the way down to open up the door, thus using all of your magic up. Of course, it's still safer than taking a death there.
That was my line of thinking. I was like, let's just get to the safety door, so in case I do die, I mean, I had a fairy at the time anyway, but
Right.
in case I do die, I'll just be right here, and I don't even care about my magic. I can do the skip, but I think I was just on the wrong pixel where holding the direction didn't, push me across. I was like, ah, crap, I have to hit a diagonal here, and then suddenly I was off timing, and whatever.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
found Burna down there. I was like, oh, this would have been useful about 20 seconds ago.
it's like, oh man, this would have cost me less magic. Thanks. I mean, given the fact you still only died once, but still had a fairy, so it didn't really cost any extra time or anything like that. So.
Yeah, shoutouts to Green Mail Turtle Rock. I like how I was more interested in going to Turtle Rock when I couldn't full clear it than I would be going into Ice Palace when I can full clear it.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I don't know.
I was
Ice
thinking
Palace-
about going to Ice Palace.
Well, here's the thing, getting to Cold Stare and dying, it costs so much time. Getting to Trinex and dying doesn't cost anything, really, if you set up the safety door. And you always get that magic refill. So you have, unlimited attempts, pretty much. While Ice Palace, you have to leave and go do something else to try and find magic, so...
I do like how, before I got my second crystal, I had 2 pendants and
Yep.
all of green pendant done except the boss.
Yep.
But I saw the thing on the pedals. I was like, well, that's actually super convenient.
And it actually worked out.
Look right there.
Well, it was yeah, it was also interesting just because you had full cleared all of Thieves Town. Imagine if you had like bailed out, just been like, Blind's probably got a heart container. Who cares?
I was going to bail out, except none of the first 4 items were items. They were all dungeon items.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was thinking like once you got the boots, you're like, oh, this is it. Let's go. Let's get out of here. We're good. So good thing you didn't. Husky actually went to Skullwoods first, so checked the pedestal, knew that it was required before going into Thieves. So.
Oh yeah, I figured that that's what a smart person would have done, and not went up to Turtle Rock and did all that first.
But it's so tantalizing. It's hard to say no. But overall, GG, man. That was a heck of a seed. Hope you had fun here on Speed Gaming 5. And I hope you go back and watch this at some point and listen to me and Stan have a heck of a time commentating this bad boy.
I did have fun, and I will go back and watch it right here on Speed Gaming 5.
Hooray!
Alright, I'm gonna dip out. Thanks, guys.
Alright, man. Good luck in the next round. And as Mikan takes his leave, you guys check him out. If you're the type that wants to watch, more Randomizer on solo channels, hit him up with a Twitch follow, or I don't know, follow him on Snapchat, whatever you want. Use your imagination. But Husky now finishing T-Rock. He has the ability to go get that hookshot, but he's going to opt to finish off Palace of Darkness, second to last dungeon, and maybe even consider. He might go ahead and check that green pendant just because, unfortunately, because he skipped Mimic Cave whilst being in go mode, he will not be getting those silver arrows.
Will indeed, unfortunately, have to do the Ganon fight without them.
And I'm concerned just because based on what I've been seeing this entire race with Husky's execution, that they may not know Silverless Ganon, and it's gonna hurt even more. Well, here's the thing, because Ganon's gonna be like, "Did you find the silver arrows in Light World?" I think it's what Mimic Cave is Light World, and you're like, "What? Light World? Excuse me."
I think it is going to refer to the Haunted Grove actually. As the shovel.
Oh, right. Shovel is in Light World. Sorry. Well, Haunted Grove is still Light World.
Well, yeah, it would. Yeah, that is true. Actually, never mind. It'd be nice to have.
Stan.
I'm getting my facts up.
Actually, Will, you're wrong. It's actually going to be Light World. But there's our other shield, which the other shield now will be getting a mirror shield in the Stalfos room. Very convenient for dealing with the laser bridge. Oh, wait.
Yeah, that does put that within official logic, so it'd be interesting to see when a runner... oh, wait, he already... Interesting. Husky making his way up through the Palace of Darkness. We'll be looking to finish it off as quickly as possible here, using the quick and easy Ganon Sumario strat. Definitely agree with that one.
Alright, coming up will be Helmisar King. Now, when Mikan got here, I believe he already had his silver arrows, so he was able to finish off Helmisar with a single silver arrow. Tempered Sword will make this fight a little bit easier. I believe it is 2 spins, 4 slashes? No. That's exactly... Well, no, yeah, that's right, because 2 spins would equal... Yeah. But, of course, we'll still require these 17 hits with the hammer to finish off the first part.
Or bombs. Bombs do work on the Hammersor's mask. And with 23, he's got more than enough to...
Are you saying the hammer won't work? Or are you saying, or also this is a thing?
Also, the bombs
Thank
would
you.
work. What I usually do is, I'll just toss a couple of bombs up and then hope.
Hope for the best.
Pretty much, this entire game is hope for the best to happen.
Hope for that good RNG. But yeah, 4 quick slashes. It looked like he was trying to go for a spin on the first part, but it was staying a little bit too far away. Sometimes spin attack can be a little... You know, it'd be nice to have a video representation that actually shows your actual, a visualization of your hitbox. Just to kind of see how far you can stand away from enemies and still hit them with the sword spin or sword slash.
That would definitely be pretty interesting to have a sort of developer mode, I suppose. To sort of see the bit more under the hood items, as even though this game has been out for a while, still new discoveries are being made, such as quite recently in the Palace of Darkness, there is a camera offset glitch that can be performed by using a bottled potion while walking to the left, which will lock the camera on Link's location, which allow you to move the red mimic off screen. And the way that the game handles enemy kill doors, if an enemy is off screen, it is considered unkillable. Therefore, the door will open without use of the bow.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly easy glitch to pull off, and I feel like we've seen it a few times already in this tournament. None that I've watched so far, but it's a nice way to be able to check those 2 chests over passive mimics if you happen to dive pod early without the bow, or just to do it for fun, even if you have the bow.
That is true. It is kind of fun to break the games in ways unintended. Of course, also one of the recent discoveries is the fake powder glitch that you touched on in the beginning of the of this seed, where you confuse the game in using a mushroom to act as a powder. The exact logistics are still quite hazy, but it is definitely an interesting way that that this game handles certain actions. Meanwhile, Husky making his way into the Swamp Palace, which will be his last dungeon, is most likely going to blaze straight past all of the chests, maybe hoping to find the silver arrows. Of course, we as commentators and viewers already know that, unfortunately, he will need that shovel from the Mimic Cave in order to attain those. Thankfully, he does turn back in time to get that Smoky. Now, thankfully, you don't have to play a song every time you want to move the water along. Nice freeze frame there. As we again get to see the adorable little raft from the original Legend of Zelda for the NES, which also has a randomizer as well, which in the same vein as the Link to the Past randomizer will randomize item locations. Oop, Husky having a little bit trouble with the fire snakes. Which, little fun fact, the fire snakes will always do the same amount of damage, also regardless of male, I believe. In the same way that that spikes will always do 1 heart of damage. Husky opting to not check chests along the way here. Probably wanting to spend as little time as possible in the Swamp Palace. And now with Tempered in hand, will be using hook and slash strats. Three more to go. Still plenty of health to spare. Will unfortunately not have the silver arrows to go for the quick kill, but two fighters, two tempered sword spins will do the job. Or 4 slashes, and there we go. Husky finishes off. The Swarm Palace will be making his way onto Death Mountain to tackle Ganon's Tower.
Oh baby, here we go.
Now, interesting to see is Husky going to go full left, full right, or maybe some flavor in between?
I'd anticipate maybe the 2 chests on the right to full left. That seems to be probably the safest and like kind of the default option. Though I know there are a lot of players that will do the 2 on the right, and if they get a small key, they'll go ahead and go right to the compass room first before heading left. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Definitely a lot of options. Ooh, unfortunately, barely short for that magic potion. Has to unfortunately leave that behind, but did stock up on a few blue potions. Very helpful for the for both the gauntlet as well as the tower.
So let me get your thoughts. How do you feel about the Ganon hint regarding the silver arrows? Do you like them being relatively vague? You know, just saying Light World kind of opens up a lot of options, but at the same time, in this seed in particular, we've already seen basically all the Light World. So
Yeah,
the only thing I don't think we've seen Bonk Rocks or King's Tomb. And of course, for Husky, haven't seen the dig, the flute dig.
That is true. Although, in my opinion, if it is locked behind a fetch quest, I do think that it would be quite nice to at least have a more focused vague such as did you find the arrows on Death Mountain, for instance, or on Southern Light World?
Yeah, because like imagine if, let's say, it was powder required. So you would say Light World, but powder is in like, I don't know, some pendant dungeon you didn't full clear. Compared to like just saying it's in Palace of Darkness or in a particular dungeon. Like I like the vagueness because it kind of gives players this. Let's say both players are in the same situation where they both need silvers. You know, it could still come down to who routes the right direction or who goes to the right place afterwards. But at the same time, I feel like maybe not so much in this stage of the tournament, but anyone, I'd say a good percentage of the people that join these tournaments should already be comfortable with doing silverless Ganon. Or at least I would highly recommend it. And speaking of keys on the right side, we get 2, but Husky decides to still go ahead and head to the left side first.
Definitely not a bad choice, as we do know it is the correct one.
As someone who's participated in 3 tournaments already for the randomizer, actually no, technically 4. Spring tourney, fall tourney, East Sandy tourney, and now this spring tourney. I went into my first one knowing all the stuff, the bomb jumps, hammer jump, all the different like ways to fight certain bosses, like practice like Master Sword Cold Stare, Hammer Cold Stare, Silverless Ganon, you know, all that kind of stuff. And of course, you know, those kind of things won't necessarily make or break a race, but just going into your tournament races particularly prepared will give you a lot higher of a success rate. Definitely
knowing the ins and outs of the game prior to your tournament career starting is always a good idea, as it just gives you that little bit more experience in how to handle certain situations.
Oh, for sure.
As we do get to see the boomerang strat.
Yeah, the red boomerang. And nice little dash there, getting through just fine. And yeah, for people that are like excited watching the tournament and interested in joining maybe the next tournament, the fall tournament, you know, the best way to get better at this game is just to keep watching it and keep playing it. And even to go ahead and, you know, watch individual streams, see how they do it. Sometimes you'll find runners that are particularly good at explaining how or why they're doing everything that they do. Or, you know, you could particularly ask them, how do you set up the bomb jump? How do you do that? Of course, I also recommend everyone pop on over to the Link to the Past Randomizer Discord. Or there's tons of people over there that are all new to the game or extremely, you know, experts at the game, willing to share their inputs, resources, and then of course grabbing the practice hack. That one's always good. Speaking of, Stan, you're not participating in this tournament, or are you?
No, I am unfortunately not confident enough in my playing skills of this game.
So fall?
I'll beat you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you heard it here first, guys.
The quickest of upsets.
Hate you so much. The fact that you stalled for that long, you were thinking that one up. It took too long. That was the slowest of comebacks.
Oh. But it worked, didn't it? And that's what counts, as Husky did manage to find Bob and open his treasure chest for the big key.
Well, now here's the thing. Husky is electing to skip a lot of stuff in G Tower, which leads me to believe that they may just be comfortable enough to do Silverless Ganon. You know, they might have skipped the bomb jumps, but they see Silverless, they're like, I have to do this. This is a game changer right here. So we'll have to wait and see.
Anticipation is killing me.
Or at the same time, you know, you never know. Maybe just going straight for Ganon and getting that helpful hint is faster than full clearing G-Tower for no reason. But then at the same time, you gotta go back up Death Mountain if you were to come back up to G-Tower. So I'm just gonna stop hypothesizing and just gonna wait and see.
Yes, you could maybe hypothetically not
Don't.
think so hypothetical.
I'll think
If I
about it.
may be hypothetically inclined. Anyway, Husky opting to take the little safety room, which does contain 2 fairies as well as a full magic pot and some bombs. Of course, already full on magic. We'll be taking the heal and heading up to the tower. Gauntlet, rather. The gauntlet of the tower. Ganon's Tower Gauntlet. Can we have like a plaque saying welcome to Ganon's Tower Fighting Arena Zone?
Yo, when's Link to the Past Randomizer Battle Royale? That's all I care about. That's what I want. Where's my loot boxes? I want to find those. Will I get... Can we call the loot boxes valid? No, just kidding. Anyway, I got a question for you, Stan. When you're going up the gauntlet at this point, let's say you're, I don't know, Husky right now.
Yeah.
A lot of players will like to use projectile weapons to kind of deal with some of the enemies that spawn on the other side. I particularly like to use bow, or if I have half magic, like to use the fire rod, especially because it kills the Stalfos in like seconds. What do you like to use?
Bombos. Lots of fire kills lots of things.
That's also a valid answer.
Although going haywire with the fire rod can be quite fun.
Alright, and this look like a 2-cycle for Husky.
Very
Some
nice
good
indeed.
patterns. Only a few more rooms to go. Moldern 2, Aga 2, and then the big cannon boy himself. I'm just sitting here waiting to see this Silverless Ganon coming up or not. I know I shouldn't hype up something that might not happen, but I'm curious at this point.
That is definitely true. Although Husky might indeed, as you say, opt to just get the information and just look for these silver arrows, which of course is very understandable. The Silverless Ganon fight is, I believe, a 2-frame window, a bufferable window, but a 2-frame window nonetheless for your spin to actually deal damage.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough rhythm to get used to if you're just learning Silverless, or sometimes if you're good at it, sometimes it just kind of gets out of hand. It's very helpful to have half magic and, extra potions. Tempered Sword to get to phase 4 makes it a lot better, and even having, fire rods so you can kind of light the torch from a distance to set up 3 hits per torch cycle. Nice job remembering to grab that key. Not that it matters, because we found another key right there.
Yes, definitely. Opening chests, hoping to get bailed out by these silvers, most likely. Of course, Gold Sword, again, would be nice, but...
Well, we are going to see our last few chests here up the gauntlet. Only have one more to go. The Molder and 2 chests. We already know what it's not going to be, but who knows? It could be a gold sword, which would be hilarious.
I've had a couple of times where there was actually a sword in that chest.
Quake!
It's Quake.
Wasn't expecting that, but it is.
That was definitely not on my mind at all. Of course, we didn't get to see Quake for the entirety of the run. Well, the most prominent reason for it being in the final chest of the game, but as well as Mystery Mine and Turtle Rock not requiring the quick medallion.
Yo, that geometry right there. There's a double. There's 4 more hits to go. There's another double. Dude, you might get a better Agahnim than Mikan.
Very true. Just like
should've said that.
Commentators.
Mikan, how many cycles did it take? Oh, never mind. It's over. All right, here we go. The last fight of the game. Come on, Husky. We're sending energy your way. Finish out strong.
Definitely be interesting to see what Husky will employ on the big pig himself.
I hope he uses the sword. It's definitely the best tactic on taking out Ganon. Maybe
Hammer? Does that work in?
Spin? I really wish Hammer worked on Ganon.
That's only in
general.
Swordless?
It's only in Swordless. Because if I go into a Ganon fight with Hammer and Master Sword, I would use Hammer every time. Oh man, getting the top right, as we saw on Mikan's side as well, since the RNG is always synced up for your first attempts at every boss, but not taking advantage of that top right spawn. Does have red mail, so he can take several hits in this boss, but does need to be careful. I don't believe he has any fairies. Yeah, no bug net in sight for this seed. Can only assume it's somewhere in Ice Palace, or no, we saw Ice Palace in G Tower. I'd assume.
Yeah, pretty much the entire seed has been full cleared, with the exception of anything that's still left in Ganon's Tower, as well as the rest of Swamp Palace. I don't recall if Mikan full cleared that. And with that, it does look like Husky is going to go for the Silverless Ganon. Unfortunately, misses the torch glitch. Of course, with half magic, not a pressing of a matter, but might still come into play.
Yeah, missing the torch glitch it just makes this so much more complicated, and it leaves yourself open to getting hit or getting knocked off. He does get one hit in. Yeah, and if he has another blue potion, he'd be fine to continue using the fire rod. And at this rate, he'll be able to get 2. Oh wow, just barely sneaking one in right there.
Very nicely done.
Yeah, you gotta try and sync up the 2 torches, lighting them as close to each other as possible.
Yes, I believe the maximum amount of spins that are possible on a torch cycle are 3.
Yeah, the most you can get is 3. He's opting to switch to lamp. Ooh, that was close.
Ooh. Patting Ganon on the back there.
Dude, he is getting dangerously close to falling off the edge every time he goes down there. It's a little stressful.
Ooh. Unfortunately,
it was a good thing he did not go for lighting that torch, because he ran out of magic. Otherwise, Ganon would have spawned right on top of him. Which, I don't know what his... I think he was still at more than enough hearts not to take a death, but Alright, still has one more blue. So he can keep using Fire Rod. Should be able to get... Oh, if he was just a little bit sooner, he would have had that one. Yeah, assuming Husky comes in here for a chit-chat, we'll have to ask him about that torch glitch, because it didn't look like he even considered it. Not even for a second. And torch glitch makes a significant difference on silverless Ganon. You can intentionally skip it if you have the silvers, because sometimes you can set it up to stun him midway through the arena, so you can get like a double or even a triple if you're crazy.
That is true. Is it possible to get a quadruple arrow?
It is. There's a very particular setup that requires Gold Sword, because you need to basically poke him like right at the start of Phase 4. And I've seen it happen once, maybe, but it's really hard to get. But it is possible. And there it is. Wow. Good work from Husky.
A little bit of magic to spare as well. Husky does not put the final arrow in Ganon. Instead, uses bacon to slay the bacon. So GG here for Husky, ending with an official time of 2:36. Definitely warrants a big GG.
Go ahead and see if Husky wants to come in and chit-chat. I already sent them a link. But in the meantime, while we wait for Husky to hop on over here, we do have a little bit. We have some Zelda going on the other Speed Gaming channels currently. I think we have a Link to the Past NMG tournament race going on SG1. We have maybe the tail end of a Link to the Past Randomizer tourney race over on SG2, and a Zelda 1 Randomizer weekly race over on SG3. So you guys got some Zelda options.
You will definitely not go bored during this evening. Now, it does like we have Husky in the waiting room here. We'll be starting an interview shortly. Good evening, Husky. Congratulations, and GG on finishing your seed.
Wait for it.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Of course.
Yes, loud and clear. So first of all, GG's on finishing your run here. Oh, please bear with us as we are. Oh god, this is not in the script. Oh god. So, meanwhile, as we wait for Husky's issues. Hello, sir?
Oh, that's why.
How about now?
I can. You know what it was? I had my HDMI cord into my TV, so everything was going through my TV, and I turned my TV off.
Oh, yeah, that's...
So that'll do it.
Yes, definitely. Now, again, for the fourth time, GG's, and congratulations on finishing your seed here.
Yeah, that was something, wasn't it? That, you know, I've been practicing, and I've gotten to like 2 hours, so I was like, oh, maybe I could do this. And then you start to see that time creep up. You're like, oh boy, here we go. It's getting up there.
It was definitely a very interesting seed, coming down to pretty much a forced Agahnim into a pedestal seed as well.
Yeah, I was really hopeful that I like checked the pedestal. I was like, maybe my opponent did it, maybe he didn't, and clearly he did. I saw the time, so that was too bad. But yeah, it was. You know, I didn't get a chance to play this week going into it, and I was really hoping to get some practice in between real life work. You know, God forbid, I'd love to be able to do this a lot more, but it unfortunately did not play. You know, so those early deaths in Ice Palace and Skull Woods, that was just rust all the way. So that was not my best effort there, to say the very least.
Yes, you did unfortunately did have some trouble on a lot of the boss fights, but you did get through them though. Now, one question that I have is: did you practice Silverless Ganon?
I did. Going into the tournament, I did practice it, so that's what I was. That's why, like, I saw the time. I knew I was already over 2 hours, so I knew. You know what? Here's a chance for me to actually try to practice Silverless Ganon in a race, so I might as well go for it. So, you know, once I was in Swamp Palace, I was like, you know what? Let's just go. Let's try to get to the top here instead of trying to search for it. Do you guys know where Silvers were?
We actually do. It was buried. Would you like to know where the shovel was?
Oh, come on! Where was the shovel?
Mimic Cave.
Oh my God. That's the curse of having the timer on the screen. You just start panicking a little. You're like, oh God, we're getting close to 2 hours. Oh my God, and then you forget something as simple as Mimic. So, but that's good to know. At least but again, good practice to do the Silverless Ganon. So
definitely not something that everyone can say they can do.
So I'm proud of that. So that was good. This is actually I've never actually raced in any of the tournaments. So this is the first race I completed. I ended up losing pretty bad in the first race of the tournament. So now I'm 0-2. So I was really, really happy to see that, you know, to go all the way through on this one. So well, that was quite a race, and I'm sure we have some more people that want to watch something more than a dude struggle with a randomizer seed. So
don't be so terribly down on yourself. You did an amazing job. Definitely faster than my best randomizer seed. So,
well, I appreciate that
consolation prize.
Yeah, it's good. You know what? It's good to know that, you know, to hear that and hear that it was, you know, to hear somebody say, no, you still did a good job, because I see that 2 hours and 40 or whatever it ended up being, and I'm going, oh, I need to get way better. So the goal is still to win one in the tournament. That was the goal going in, was 1 in 6 or whatever, however many rounds there are in the Swiss. And so that's still the goal, regardless of the result tonight. So hopefully next week I'll get the result I'm looking for.
That is very excellent. I'll be definitely rooting for you to get your deserved win.
Awesome, I appreciate it, and really cool that mine got streamed. I didn't realize it going into it that we were going to be streamed because of all the stuff I had going on. So that was really cool to find out after the fact.
All right.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Have a great one.
You too, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, take care.
And
alrighty, well,
I
believe that's going to do it. Stan,
yes,
it's been a pleasure.
We will be rounding it up here. So again, a quick shout out to both of our runners, Mikan as well as niuhuskie224. Give both these runners all of your endorsement as well as a quick follow on Twitch. And as well, I would like to thank my legendary co-commentator, Willa J. Bradley, for dragging me through this.
Dude, that was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
Time.
I had fun. I hope you had fun as well. And
Definitely
I hope whoever's watching this video on YouTube, youtube.com/ on Speed Gaming YouTube. Hi, YouTube.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Thanks for watching, guys. This was a lot of fun. Big shout-outs to our tracker tonight, Yoiker's wife. Appreciate all the help. We wouldn't be able to commentate without, a tracker telling us what stuff we've gotten and whatnot. So it's tremendous amount of help to have that. And of course, to the fine folks at Speed Gaming for putting on this restream. Shouts to Speed Gaming 5. I think it's my favorite new Speed Gaming out of all of them so far. So, and
it is
of course,
definitely a special place in our hearts. Especially with
indeed.
this kind of seed.
And of course, to my co-commentator Stan for keeping me entertained, along with the seed. So, thank you so much. And you all have a fan and fantastic evening. See ya.
See ya, and with that, I will be signing off. And with it, I'll see you in the next tournament.
Dude, it's so on. You're going down.
Take care, everyone.